Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Eric.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Jeff, this is the first podcast that we have done in our brand new apartment.
It's crazy how quickly this has come together, right? Like last week we were doing the intro and we were just like, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to be homeless? Like, what do we need Ron Funches as a guarantor? That was just a week ago.
And by the way, there were so many people who said, hey, if you want us to house you guys, in the meantime, we will give our apartment to you. And that was super nice.
Yeah, also super short-sighted of everybody.
What?
Like inviting us over to invite people with their entourages to their nobody wants that.
Well, I mean, some people do want
We
that.
barely want that, and we signed up for this.
but we found a place. It is on the Upper West Side, mere blocks from where we lived. It's actually miraculous because, like I said, we had looked at places that were weird. You know?
Yeah, I mean that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily just going to be close to you or not necessarily just going to be great for the podcast. There's all these little things that just didn't work and wouldn't work.
Well, it's sort of like Airbnb where it's just every place has something weird about it.
And by the grace of whatever God we pray to, Jeff, we have found a spot that for the very, 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 very most part
is perfect.
Yeah. So we've almost emptied everything from our old apartment. And isn't that the craziest thing? You think you live in a small space, and it turns out there are a million things that occupy that apartment.
Yeah, who knew?
Not me and not you, because we've made so many trips back there and we're still not done.
All right, but let's talk about the things that work about this apartment and things that don't work about this apartment.
I mean, the ceilings are humongous. It's totally renovated. All of our stuff fits. There's a giant kitchen. The bedrooms are great.
The bathrooms are dope. The kitchen is full.
The neighbors are nice. The doormen are nice. The location is great.
Okay, now let's talk about the things that don't work. Literally, the heat doesn't work. So it's negative whatever outside, and it's also the same thing inside.
Yeah, that's been an issue. Hot water.
Yeah, hot water
in the showers.
Yep.
That's been an issue.
So that's getting fixed tomorrow.
So it's like we're fancy and have two apartments. So I shower at the old apartment, but it's not realistic.
No.
And also that runs up at the end of the month. So
also the Wi-Fi, but that's a different thing.
The Wi-Fi has been the biggest issue. But if people want to hear us complain, they can listen to any episode of Waste of Time with It's The Real by checking our archives. Guys, we recorded this episode with Hitmaka, a.k.a. Young Berg, at the old spot. It was the last thing that we did before we boxed everything up and started our move. And boy, is this a great story.
You sound like Joe Budden every time you say boy.
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 Do I really?
Yeah.
Every time I don't hear it.
Yeah.
But this is Joe Budden's friend, Hitmaka, the most in-demand producer of last year. I mean, he had things charting every week, every day, all year long. He's worked with all of your favorites. And there's some of you out there who probably didn't know that this chart-topping producer was the same guy who was rapping Sexy Can I and Sexy Lady.
And anything with the word sexy in it.
And we got to the bottom of that. We found out his incredible journey from Chicago, where he grew up in a different way than you thought, and how in his early teens, he left that situation and found himself signed to DMX and then not signed to DMX and working with Eve and then working with Shawnna and then not working with Shawnna and making his way out to New York to start this career on his own. I mean,
and then it becomes just this whole other thing. I mean, it's a crazy story.
It's one of one. I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this episode, especially our friend Rory over at the Joe Budden podcast, who was like, the stories that he's going to tell. And guess what?
Boy, has Rory been looking forward to this episode.
He was right. This is a dope episode. Shout out to Hitmaka. Shout out to Rory for making it happen. Shout out to Tiffany J. And shout out to you guys for rocking with us. Jeff, do you have 3 episodes that you want to recommend?
Oh, you are putting me on the spot.
Before we get into this podcast.
I thought we left this at the old apartment.
We did not. All
right, hold on.
So in the meantime, I would like to say, now is the time for you guys to go to itsthereal.com and sign up for our new email newsletter, because we are going to give you guys updates on everything that's going on with us, whether that's touring, whether that's new merch, whether that's just hangouts that we're going to put together, whether that's surprises that you may not expect, or I guess the definition of a surprise is that you don't expect it. So sign up for that newsletter, itsthereal.com. We have something to announce just to you guys who are signed up on that email right now. So make sure you go and sign up for that newsletter at itsthereal.com.
You can stop stretching right now.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
Number 133, Mall of the Joe Budden podcast.
Boy, go check out that Maul episode. It's Big's brother, it's hip hop's brother, but Maul has carved out his own lane, Harlem's own. Even Joe Budden didn't know what Maul had been up to. So go check that out. Episode number
133. Also number 136 with Chuck English.
Great episode. I remember we recorded that episode back at the old place. Mm-hmm. Isn't it hard to think that like we lived somewhere before we lived at this place?
For 11 and a half years.
Crazy. But shout out to Chuck English, one of our longtime friends. We actually met him for the first time via Kaz up at SUNY Purchase when the cool kids were performing at this festival at SUNY Purchase along with someone named Drake. So shout out to Chuck English, who has an incredible story as a producer, as a rapper, as just a dope dude from Chicago, from Detroit, now from LA, Chuck English.
Also number 198, Jemele Hill.
Jemele Hill, formerly from ESPN, now has her own podcast on Spotify, which is a big, big deal. She has...
Boy, is that a big deal.
She has been very active on Twitter, always with facts and jokes, which you can do both, by the way.
Who knew?
Shout out to Jemele Hill, who gave us her all on that episode. She is such a fantastic personality, a terrific human, and our mom liked that episode. So shout out to Jemele and shout out to our mom. Jeff, when do you want to get into this episode?
Right now.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Sealy Posturpedic, a.k.a. the Finesse King.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Deep in Her Buns, a.k.a. Chick-fil-A.
I guess I'm Hitmaka.
Yes, your third favorite podcast to waste time with ItsTheReal. Hitmaka, what's happening?
I'm here. I'm happy. I'm excited to be here.
Yo,
it's one of my favorite podcasts.
We are thrilled to have you here. This is, as we were telling you off mic, this is not the first time we've crossed paths. There's two that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You want to go with the first one?
Yes. Okay, so we met in passing like a year ago, I think, a year and a half ago. You were doing Escape the Room with Joe Budden.
Oh, wow. We were wasted. Yeah, that's why I don't remember.
Wait, did you escape the room?
Absolutely not. We were wasted. Yo, I don't know what. Yo, let me tell you a funny story about that. So I was here and I was working, and like Joe Budden hated me. Like we never were cool.
What?
Like we just established our little cool friendship probably like around that time when I cross paths with y'all guys, and it didn't. I don't remember, but
we took no part in that, by the way.
Yeah. Joe is actually. I remember in like more humbling days for me, like I sent a record to Joe, and I was like, "Yo, jump on this for my shit," and then he was like, "It's cool, but I ain't gonna do it."
Damn. Damn.
But I mean, me and Joe then became like the best of friends, man. Like he's secretly, if I'm vice president A&R, he's my A&R.
Yeah.
Like I send Joe everything or whatever, and then us passing. A funny story about that is that what I remember is that I flew a girl out here, first class. You know how you get money and you like, man, like I want to treat a chick a certain way. I flew her out first class, had her in a room with me. She didn't let me smash.
So she escaped the room.
Hell, she turned out. No R. Kelly vibes. No, we not doing none of that. Hell no.
Sorry, she walked out on her own volition. Yeah.
Shout out to Chicago.
Yeah. So basically, then the girl knew Joe. The one in the
Wait, was she Dominican?
Yes. Puerto Rican and Dominican. The girl ended up knowing Joe, and like I'll never forget just being there. Like, and me and Joe laugh about this to this day because like I had jewelry on, and she's like, "You're so extra. You're this, that, and then like I flew her home, and she never gave me no box. Shout out to her. Natalie. Shout out to you.
Oh,
yeah.
She gets first name basis.
Yeah.
So the other time that we met, when we really formally met, was in 2007.
Oh wow.
On the set of Sexy Lady Remix.
Oh wow, with Jim Jones and
Rich Boy. and
A lot of green screens.
a lot of green screens. We were there.
Rage is a horrible video director too. Yo, shout out to Rage. I love you. I ain't shitting on your craft or whatever, but like looking back, to spend $100,000 for that is unreal.
Whoa.
Wait, that was $100,000 for what?
You tell me.
How many Natalies did you fly out?
Yeah, nah. But it's kind of like when you young, like a lot of people don't know. Like I'm 31 years old now, so if we look back 2007, I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
So you're not really in control of your whole career. You don't know what's going on. You don't know.
But you
anything
think
that's
you know
happening.
everything, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the very, very beginning. Mm-hmm. Where are you originally from?
I'm from Chicago.
What part of Chicago?
South side of Chicago.
Yeah.
Wait, by the way, your Wikipedia says Miami.
My Wikipedia says some ill shit. Like I think it's somebody that hates me at my Wikipedia that's just going
Was it Joe Budden?
Yeah, Joe, change my wiki ASAP, bro.
So, what was growing up in Southside Chicago like?
My lifestyle is different because like I more resonate with y'all more than anything. Like I grew up and I don't feel bad about saying this, but my parents created a nice life for me. Like, so I don't remember any hard. I grew up a millionaire. Like I've never ate a hamburger, a hot dog, a peanut butter and jelly. I've never had like anything between two pieces of bread in my life. I don't know what Subway feel like, Quiznos, Chipotle. I don't even eat. Like I was just brought up a different way. I could have been a kid that was 16 with a Range Rover and a learner's permit.
Well,
wait, what did your parents do?
My parents, my dad at that time was the director of Chicago Public Schools, and he owned like mad property and things like that. And my mom at that point had the biggest child care daycare center in the whole state of Illinois.
wow.
Yeah, so like I was like in the suburbs, like rich.
Yeah. So, what was that like? You were going to public school?
Yeah, I was going to public school, but at the same time, I don't know if you guys, well, of course, you know, Shawnna that was with Disturbing the Peace, that was in a group called Infamous Syndicate at the time, and her father was Buddy Guy.
Yeah.
They lived like 2 doors down from me. So like my friends, my big brothers, that she's older than me, of course, my big brothers became my friends, and like I was just surrounded by music like from the jump, like because they had the studio in the house. Shout out to Mike, her brother, and like they were just creating. They were already had a record deal when I was just like, I remember smoking my first blunt. Like this is so ghetto. Oh my God. We got in the car. It was like on Christmas Eve, and like we were rich, but like we were still like, this the story of my life, rich but still living by like random and thuggish means. Like I got in a car and my brother at the time drove Shawnna to a weed spot in Chicago Heights, and they stole the weed from a guy and made me lay down. Like the weed guy put the shit in the car and they drove off, skirt off. That was and then from there I smoked my first blunt with Shawnna and my brother.
That's legendary.
Was it good weed?
Terrible.
Just sticks?
Terrible, yo. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the payback on the street level or the crime of what you're doing stealing from somebody.
So, you started rapping it at what age?
Probably like 12, 13, and then I got my first official record deal at like 14, 15.
Right. So, what are you rapping about at 12?
Shooting people, killing people, dying,
Just
selling,
true life
selling,
stuff.
Yeah.
selling millions
Live
of
what you say in
bricks.
your rhymes.
I'm
Yeah.
Pablo
Yeah.
Escobar Jr. Like, because at that point, we got to realize is that this is the DMX era. This is prior to all that. So at this point, like all this turn up shit, this mumble shit or whatever the fuck is auto-tune didn't even exist at that point.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't know, and we gonna get that in further. After T-Pain did it, I'm the first person to use auto-tune and sing a whole song and put it out. And like, so I mean, it was the trap era. Like not trap like that, they know it, but like the real, like how Leor says, like, cut me and I bleed. It was one of them type of eras.
Where are you recording at that time?
Man, damn. So I started making my demos in Chicago. I forget the name of Studio Chicago, and like I would have like my dad pay for studio time and whatever, and I started making records. And then from there, I ended up meeting a group of guys called LEP.
Yep, Bogus Boys.
We met those guys in Chicago,
Yep.
and we met them when they were just like, you know, internet sort of like popping, and Nah Right loved them and all those blogs. You know, you're way before that. So what type of guys did you meet?
Oh, I met them way before that.
Yeah.
Without incriminating anybody.
They're the real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I met them, they had a apartment on 70th and Halsted. and it was like a makeshift studio because the owner of the building, who was the CEO of the company at the time, built a studio in the lower part of the building. And I met a guy that changed my life. His name is Bugs. Shout out to Bugs, man. He's still with Kanye West right now. Like, and we started creating records, and like he just took me from 0 to 600 and so quickly. Like, I remember like my demo had the Jesus Walks beat on it. Like, I rapped over it. Like, Bugs and Kanye were like, still are. So like, imagine he had every Go Getters, Miss Beat, or all this other stuff or whatever, like, and all my songs were just like my whole demo. What, you remember the Talib Kweli record that Kanye had produced back in, that was Wanna Be Good to You?
Yeah,
that was on my demo. Like, all these different records was on my demo. And
do you still have those?
Bugs probably has them.
Damn.
I don't have them. Yeah, I wish I did.
Damn. So you rapped on how many songs in your demo?
Probably like 10, and then we were like a group. We were I was Iceberg at the time, and from there we went and we did the whole, like, you know, when you dealing with street guys that got money, they take you everywhere. They took us to New York, and I remember my first deal offer was from Tommy Boy Records.
Wow.
And they offered me my first deal. My dad actually just sent the fucking contract to me randomly or whatever, like recently, and that was like my first kick in the game. And
do you remember the A&R who you sat with?
I really don't, because I wasn't in control of nothing. I think as them being street dudes, they had another grimy cat that just had industry connects that they were paying to go sit with low level A&Rs to act like they're gonna get a deal. Yeah. And my shit happened to spring off and get to the next level type of thing.
Because you never would have like fit with Tommy Boy. Like your music was not like that.
I don't know. I was different though. I was shooting the club. I was shooting everybody. I was a gangster rapper.
Wait, what did your parents think about your music?
Parents hated it. So for me to actually get to that point, my mom and dad never wanted me to do music. Once I started doing music, my dad started supporting me. My mom hated that I did music because of the content, of course, and the lifestyle that it brought. And that forced me to run away and move away from my mom. Like, I just ran away, like, fuck it. Like, I'm out. And I went and lived with LEP, and they became like my dad. Like,
you left your parents at 13, 14?
Yeah. I left my parents at 13 years old.
Were you still going to school?
No. I dropped out of school at 9th grade. I never made it past going freshman year.
So how long did that sort of like standoff between you and your parents last?
A long time, because what y'all got to realize is that my parents shipped me to like some, like, if you Google like Thompson Falls, Montana, like military schools, there's like movies written about these people. Like they signed, my mom signed all of her parental rights away from me, and made me a product of and paid of the state, and just put me in this like child like delinquent program to where, like, if you don't do right there, they send you to Jamaica for high impact, and like there's no child safety laws in Jamaica, so they beat you the fuck up. They make you walk 100 miles with a 10-pound brick on your back, and that's how you get back to Montana.
Holy shit.
No. And my mom was paying $5,000 a month for me to be at this function.
To not be home.
Yeah.
So who were the other kids?
I guess rich, terrible children.
Yeah,
such
like
as
the
myself.
kinds that you see.
So,
holy shit.
Yeah, you didn't last very long there.
Nah, not at all.
And
it was
so when did you actually sign your first deal?
My first record deal was with DMX, Bloodline Records. I was 15 years old. I forget what year that is. That's so throwback. I'm so sketchy now.
So how does it get to DMX though?
Oh shit. Okay, so damn. This is gonna be a long podcast.
Yeah, let's go.
So from
by the way, you live here now.
yeah. So from dealing with LEP, they took us on a run. They took us around the whole little things. And I remember, this before me meeting Jay. Hold on, let me talk about DMX. So first, this guy, Joe Exclusive, was a stylist that they knew. And he introduced me to Eve first, I believe. So I came here and I was in Quad Studios, and they had us on the whole run. And I met Eve, and like it was just a vibe. Then fast forward, I was actually at What These Bitches Want from a Nigga video shoot, and that's the first time I met DMX. So they took us there. We were in LA, and I go like the same guy, Joe Exclusive, was DMX's stylist and Eve's stylist. So he introduced us to DMX. So the whole LEP was like, we were called Infrared at the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't LEP Bogus Boys. We were called Infrared.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like they had 5 artists and I was the youngest artist of the bunch. So I went in and I did my little 1-2 for DMX. I'll never forget it. We were in this trailer. We were at the Paramount lot on in LA on Santa Monica. And like I rap for him. I'm like, yo, I'm real naughty. Hollow tips of him, steal 40. I kill 40 label. I like some fast twisted shit because I'm from Chicago and like that. And he was like, shorty, I don't understand one motherfucking word you said. Like, and mind you, like, this nigga's getting like a head massage. He's getting a manicure. A bitch is rubbing his feet. Another one's massaging him. He's got like he's DMX at the prime of DMX vibes. So I spit another rap for him, and he was like, I love him. And he was like, yo, come back tomorrow. I'm like, I bet. So now I'm just on a video shoot. Shout out to damn, rest in peace, Aaliyah. She the reason I got Aaliyah tattooed on me. Like I seen all these people drag on, man. What up, drag on, man? So they're all there, and I come back the next day. I leave my demo, the same demo that I told you that all those beats was on, and like I pull up to the fucking video, and like DMX is blasting my shit out his trailer. Like my demo is going crazy out the trailer, and Kevin Lyles is there, and like I'm sitting out there, and like mind you, like I was like a bad kid, like I was probably halfway drunk when I got there. I was smoking weed. Like I was like 14 years old smoking a blunt. Kevin Lyles like, you about to be big, man. And I'm like, you ready for your life to change? I'm like, whatever, fuck out of here. You know, just being from that type of cloth that was around me, because I'm not a street dude, but when you be around so many street people, it's just like, man, fuck that shit. So I go back in the trailer, X is blasting my shit, and he like, yo, shorty, I'm gonna sign you. I'm gonna sign you, man. It's not gonna be fast. It's not gonna be quick as you think it, but I'm gonna sign you. And I was like, whoa, holy shit. So, of course he wanted to sign me. He didn't want to sign Infrared.
Yeah.
He didn't want to sign none of the acts that was on there. And that created turmoil between the CEO of the company at the time, because he's like, oh, you trying to take our little jewel, the young dude away.
I bet.
And not only that, he was like, we about to finish the video and go to Mary J. Blige concert. Oh, so stay with me. I'm like, holy shit. So I shout out to Ali, who was his assistant at the time. Ali Sammy, who worked with Nori, who worked with all these different people. He was his assistant at the time, and like he was like, I remember Ali like just giving me weed, and like, you know what I'm saying? We get in the car. This nigga DMX, yo. Do not ride in a car with DMX.
Oh my
ever.
God.
This is the craziest shit. We leave the fucking video shoot. I'm in the back seat. Ali's next to me. Method Man is in the passenger seat with his feet on the dashboard, and DMX is driving. So imagine DMX swerving through 405 traffic, nigga, and just going the crazy. And it was just it was a wild night. Yeah.
I mean, you knew what you signed up for.
Hey, I was with all of it, 100%.
You were like, yo, Mary J. Blige concert? Yes.
DMX could have told me anything, and I was going to do it.
Yo, you're 15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like people's dreams don't come true at that age.
I think it was because my parents was rich that like I went against the grain, because like I wanted to have my own shit. Like I think I had a chip on my shoulder from the beginning, like, what y'all got don't matter to me. Like I'm gonna go get my own, and music became my passion, and like it just, I wasn't letting nobody tell me no.
So did any part of you feel like Malibu's Most Wanted?
A little bit.
Did you immediately go into the studio?
With DMX?
Yeah.
Nah, see, it get a little more trippy from there. So after that, now DMX has an offer on me. Tommy Boy has an offer on me. So fast forward, this is like the year when Kobe and Shaq won the finals. Like I think it's like their third three-peat or something. Like it's in that era. I go back to New York. And you know how Def Jam used to be. Rockefeller was on all the floors or whatever. So I do a showcase with Jay. And Hove has interest in me now.
How nervous are you?
It happened differently though. Let me wind back. We were in the championship happened. We were in the club in Los Angeles after the fact with Infrared, because they had me everywhere just trying to like show me off and like doing what they were supposed to do with their artists. I think I remember they paid like $600 to get me in a club. This is the like, and like we're in a club called Luna Park that doesn't exist in LA anymore.
Because they let in a bunch of 15-year-olds.
Dog, I don't know how they finessed it. God bless them. And like Jay-Z's in there, everybody, Dr. Dre is in there, everybody. So like, I'll never forget this shit. We're leaving out the club because the whole club is following Kobe and Jay-Z out of the club. So like it's Dame, Kobe, Jay-Z, they're walking out of a club and like the club is following behind. And my same producer, Bugs, like Jay-Z's on the bottom floor and I'm on the top floor or whatever, like of the stairs. And Bugs is like, hey, yo, Jay. And it's like the whole club stopped. And he was like, you ain't heard shit till you hear my shorty rap. And Jay was like, I'm saying, I ain't heard nothing. Cut through. I'm rapping for Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying? Right there in the middle of the front of the club. He's like, yeah, I fuck with you, you know what I'm saying? Then I break into an all battle rap with Exhibit and all these other different people, and Dame Dash is watching Jay-Z then already left. And that's what sprung us to go have a meeting with Jay for me to have that meeting. And then Jay put an offer on me. And DMX was very adamant about not allowing me to sign Jay to Rockefeller. He was very adamant.
And so you did. You signed to Bloodline.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell the real story. So look, this is for my testimony and my story is for all upcoming writers, producers, artists, or whatever that's been through these situations. And a lot of people, they PC and I just don't give a fuck. So after all these offers, we went back and like I told y'all, I didn't live with my house, my parents. I pretty much lived inside of the studio. And when you're dealing with a CEO, my CEO became like Suge Knight-ish.
So you do link up with DMX.
Yes.
You do sign with him.
Yes.
And what is it like being under his wing?
Terrible.
Oh.
But shout out to X. I
Yeah.
mean, he didn't treat me like I thought the DMX gonna treat me. Like it was cool. Like I got a deal, and I got my crib, and I lived in Edgewater, New Jersey. I was able to bring everybody out, and I remember we went to the studio. Well, before I moved to Edgewater. Damn, I hate to put people. So I lived with one of his peoples in a roach infested house. I'm talking about like he just put me with somebody in the middle of nowhere. The house was just infested with roaches. So like I went
And you're
back.
the prized like jewel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're just like, what am I? Like,
In a
what is
roach
this?
motel. So like from there, I end up getting my crib in Edgewater, and like it was cool. Like, but you gotta understand that I think DMX was gifted that label deal off the strength of being just a super talented artist and just very gifted. And it wasn't because he was able to groom a star or pop the next artist off.
No, he was just putting the name on you.
No, it was strictly like Lior, like I want a label deal.
Yeah.
And then like you just sold 10 million. Here, give him whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah. That type of vibe. And then we became the offspring of that. And I mean, X treated me. He treated me cool. Like it was cool. It was a good time.
A lot of big artists are not necessarily good at being CEOs. You know, they're not good at being tutors. They're not good at running a company. It just doesn't happen a lot where you find like someone, you know, who's a great CEO and can like put other people on.
Right.
So you are suffering in that sort of system. How do you see like the light at the end of the tunnel and think like, I'm not stuck here for the rest of my life?
Damn. So we started that, and I remember like DMX was a wild guy at that time. Damn, I'm finna give y'all the real stories. So Nori, I'm sorry. Anybody, any other person I know with a podcast, I'm sorry, because I might not do
everybody,
another.
yeah.
Like, so like we would be out, and I remember he was doing the movie. What is the movie? We shot it in Toronto. It was like with Steven Seagal.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It was, I forget the name of the movie. I had a record on the soundtrack. He put me on the soundtrack to it, and like that was my only real experience with Bloodline Records or whatever. And me and him are actually on a song. It's called Dog for Life. It's on YouTube right now. And
Wow.
like I'm like, yo, I'm like 12, nigga, like singing with rapping with DMX. So from there, I mean, one of the craziest stories I got about X, we was in Toronto. Shout out to Shira, shout out to his then wife, everybody. So we're in the studio. He's making a song called Do You that was on the Funk Master Flex 60 Minutes of Funk album and whatever it's called. And Irv Gotti was the producer of the record. This is the craziest shit I ever seen. The man left his weed at the studio, but he was so big at the time that actual police went and got his weed for him and brought it to the studio. Brought him 2 pounds of weed from the studio.
What?
Listen, the man, I don't know if he, like, I watched the man drink 2/5 of Remy Grand Cru by himself in one studio session. He did the song. We go outside. It was just us. So it was me, him, his wife at the time, Ali, and like, you know, his security or whatever. But I was riding in the car with him. Like, I rode with him from the hotel, and they left the keys inside the car, the studio. So like, I ain't never seen no shit like this in my life. The man laid down on the ground, curled up, and cried like a dog, like and fell asleep, like was stupid, like sleep by the car. While they went and got the key, because I'm assuming like he was wasted, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, and shit. They was like, don't nobody touch the dog when he sleep. Like, that's a rule. Like, don't nobody fuck with the dog while he sleep.
What are the other rules?
I don't know. There's probably so many I can't even remember. But like, he cried like a dog, like a pit bull puppy, and laid on the ground by 600 bands. And we sat there and just waited until he woke up.
How do you know that this is not the norm? How do you know that, like, you're like, all right, I'm in a business, I have to act a certain way?
See, but this is a different thing about the times that's going on right now. Like, right now, you don't believe shit that nobody was doing. It was authenticity was key at that point. Mm-hmm. You couldn't do nothing. And if you weren't authentic, then it was like, you ain't shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like that nigga been a dog my whole career, looking up to him. So he was just doing dog-like shit. Like, it was like, whatever.
Yeah.
I was a kid, like, damn, I guess he really is a dog.
But it didn't like spur you on to like drink like him or smoke like him or
I was already doing
act like him.
I was already doing all that shit.
Did you have an attitude back then, you think?
Yeah, I was little DMX. Like, there was no way around it. Like, I was literally little DMX.
But you had no thoughts, like, at that point where you were just like, I'm putting my career in this guy's hands and he's over there, like, not doing well.
You got to understand, that's like Drake right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was the equivalent of what Drake is right now for this era. Yeah. So, like, shit.
2 #1 albums in 1 year.
Come on, like, he's the Midas touch.
And movies and
everything.
If I was come on, that's like saying, is Boy Wonder concerned about
right.
being in the hands of Drake? Like, hell no, you get a half an inch close to Drake, you gonna for sure get a hit.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So what did you do back then to take advantage of the opportunity that you had? Like, were you just like, yo, I'm going to go to this club and, like, you know, Iceberg from Bloodline Records is going to get me this?
Nope, because I was still a kid. I couldn't go in no clubs by myself. I couldn't do anything. All I could do is run around and, like, I remember the day we went to the studio. I was recording something with Foxy Brown, I believe, and like his dog Boomer or whatever, the one that's tattooed him, he had just had puppies, and gave me one of the puppies, gave me one of his dogs that was off the litter, and he was like, you better have this dog every time I fucking see you. I don't want to ever see you without this dog. I'm like, okay.
That's the second rule.
Yeah.
Mind you, this in the days when he had his office at Bloodline, so I would go to the Bloodline office. Shout out to Mike Kaiser, who was Def Jam. Shout out to Jazz Young back in the day that was around, Leo, all them different people. So like Jazz Young was like my mom, because she was like DMX's close person in Def Jam or whatever. She's equivalent to me, like how Lon Ray is to me in my grown life.
Yeah.
Like
Shout out
Jazz
to Lon
Young
Ray.
was like, she was like that to me then. And like I remember I would bring the dog everywhere because you used to go to Def Jam office to kick it. Murder Inc. was right down the hall. Everybody smoking blunts. It was a fucking it was a chill spot.
Yeah.
So I remember like my dog just being with me 24/7. I never left the dog. He would shit like in front of Leor's office, take a piss or whatever, and it would be nothing. They clean that shit up and keep moving because I was DMX's young artist. I was Iceberg.
Damn.
Yeah.
So what is the end of your time at Bloodline like?
So damn, remember that whole kind of like shipping me to Montana type thing?
Yeah.
That's when that happened. Like we skipped it. Like I went to the school after the Bloodline Records. I was signed, I was an artist, and my mom decided that she wanted to sign her parental rights away from me and put me in this like child concentration camp that I explained earlier, and that was while I was signed to DMX, and that's how I lost my deal.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like I was cut off from the world. You couldn't talk to anybody. You couldn't watch TV, do anything, read the newspaper, nothing. I didn't even know 9/11 happened.
Holy shit.
Nah.
Wait, what was it like when you did find out it happened?
I remember I got out of that military school because my dad decided that he had had enough, and he came and got me, and he felt like that me doing music wasn't nothing that was detrimental for I should not be around. And I just found out everything at once. Like I didn't really know. But let me bring it back because I always give my mom flack, and I feel like, you know, like in the story that I tell, like it makes it seem like she's a bad person. Like a lot of people that was in that infrared crew that I was around, like they lost their lives. Like I was around people that were not the best people, so people died. So I don't never want to throw her on the bus because maybe it saved my life, me going to this thing. It was a horrible thing for me, but
yeah,
maybe it saved my life.
How long did it take you to get to that other side and, like, you know, reconcile with your mom?
I still haven't. No lie. I don't even talk to my mom.
Really?
I ain't even spoke to my mom physically on the phone in years. Can't tell you.
Because of this or because of just everything?
Just life, man. 'Cause it's all one big thing.
Yeah.
Leading up to this.
So has she tried to reach out to you?
Yeah, of course.
And that's just a
we
line
talk.
that-
We just text.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't talk. I can't even tell you last time I heard my mom's voice.
Did you get your GED or anything? Or
No, hell no.
You're not a high school graduate.
No.
You've seen the world through DMX's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've experienced certain things. What are your skills then? And is music the only option that you see?
It's the only option. So at that point, coming out the boot camp thing and like losing my record deal with DMX, like I just had to regroup and try and figure it out. And
Who do you rely on?
I don't know. I just went to the studio. I started like No ID, people like that in Chicago, getting beats, being around the right people. I just went to the studio and I started working. Excuse me. And from there, I ended up back in LA off the strength of Troy Carter.
Shout out to Troy Carter.
Troy Carter was my manager.
For a little time, he was our manager too.
So
Yeah.
Troy Carter brought me back to LA. And I remember like being at the Westwood W and seeing DMX after I lost my deal. And he's like, your parents fucked everything up, shorty, and pulled off. So I'm like, oh shit. So yeah, Troy Carter, I came back out to LA on the heels of Troy Carter with him and his success that he was having with Eve. And that's around the time that they started their TV show. And that's what brought me back to LA. And I would be around and I was just trying to figure it out. I always had talent. I remember the first thing, I never forget this shit, y'all. Dog. B2K had broke up, right? And you remember, like, when they first broke up, they were trying to replace members in a group or whatever. And that was my first thing. Troy thought I would be a good member of B2K.
You could have been a Raz B?
Yes. No.
Yo.
Pause. Yeah, so look. No cap, though. No bullshit.
Yeah.
So look. This nigga Troy take me to LA. And we go in Chris Stokes' office. It's looking a little sketchy, just off of sitting in the lobby. Like, no, I have no problem with no homosexual people. I have no problem with I'm just giving you an idea from a child that's 16 years old looking at something. So we walk in, it's bright red lips on his wall, like as his mirror. Then like his lampshade, like the head is the lamp bulb. The two arms are out, and it's like shaped like a man, and where you cut the switch on for the light is at a dick. So
What?
like, listen, this is upon.
I'm just saying, like, aesthetically, it makes no sense to me.
Yo, like light bulb.
No, I understand it. I just don't get it.
Yo, so we were there, and I was sitting there, and I never forget. Troy was with me, and we looked like I'm not throwing him under the bus or whatever, but we walked into the showcase and like it was like, what is the guy name from Immature? Little Drummer, LDB, Little Drummer Boy, and Chris Stokes were there. And like I performed for Chris Stokes or whatever and did my demo, and then they wanted to put me in B2K, but it never happened.
Okay, wait. I have about 4,000 questions. Did you when you showed up, did you want to be there? Like, did you want to be a part of B2K? Like, you understood that
B2K was popping. Yeah, at that point, I was trying to get out. You imagine being in a deal with DMX, losing everything, going to this whole like crazy like concentration camp, and then like trying to find your way. Now, granted, you got to understand, Boogs was my producer. I wasn't a producer at the time like how I'm a producer. I was just a young guy that knew how to rap. So technically, I wasn't making my records. So even when I got with DMX and Boogs wasn't around me, I might not have been able to make a hit record, you know, because I didn't know how to produce anything. I was just somebody rapping. So at that point, I was grooming myself and trying to figure it out, but it seemed like a good end to the music business at that point. But
you would have been like the left eye too, like you would have, like you would have been like the rapper in the group.
I had bigger plans than that, but I was just trying to be like,
You were doing anything to get on.
Yeah, I was gonna be Little Fizz replacement.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So you were Young Berg though.
Were you a good dancer?
I was Iceberg.
Still Iceberg.
Fuck no, I'm still not a good dancer. I got a two-step. I'm not Millie rocking with nobody.
So, but it didn't work out. You didn't become, a part of new B2K.
No.
So, what do you do after that?
I hang around Troy around that time. He had did his deal with Matthew Knowles, and they became Sanctuary. It was no longer Irving Wonder,
right?
Which was with him and Jay
Irving's
company, which we were part of. And I remember like I used to sleep at like at the studio where Eve's TV show was, and like just do random things, and then randomly Troy's end up signing this girl named Morgan Smith to Interscope Records, who was a rapper, and Eve was executive producing her project. So they inserted me into Morgan's project, and I wrote Morgan's whole album, which never came out. And she was signed to Interscope because their own things with her mother. Sometimes it's hard working with child stars. And of course, like, come on, man, I'm bad. I ended up fucking a girl. I ended up being a songwriter. I've been doing what grown people do, you know what I'm saying? But we were both kids. Like, we ended up, like, I was like loving a girl. Like, and so they never wanted me around. And like, y'all could go look on YouTube, like, Blow Your Whistle, Morgan Smith. Like, she was on 106 in Park. Her first single came out and all that shit happened. But, Jay Irvin is the teacher in the music video of her shit.
What? Yo.
And I wrote her whole album, and like that's how I started to groom myself and like be a different guy, like a producer now. Like, cause they were setting me up with writing sessions for me to go work with different producers, and I was able to watch what they were doing and implement that to my thing, and I just found a knack to make hit records.
So back then, like, look, you saw success when you were signed to Bloodline. Mm-hmm. Like, you saw what like the biggest artists in the world looked like, and you were Iceberg, an artist yourself. Mm-hmm. So how do you get it within yourself after you got dropped, after you went to Montana, the whole thing? Mm-hmm. How do you see it inside you to be a ghostwriter and not put your own shit out there?
I was just doing what my OGs told me.
Get money?
Troy told me, like, oh, you should write her songs. This girl is going to go. She's got the look. Eve is going to executive produce the project. I want you to write the songs. The same way that I could be as a producer now and say, yo, I want Goldie, I want OG Parker, I want Landstrip Chip, I want them person to do this record. And then, like, I'll sit there. Of course, I write the record with them, but it's just like the vision of knowing, like, yo, these three people are going to make what this record is necessary for.
Well, then, like, did you take it to heart when the project didn't go?
Yeah, it was so much bullshit that went on with that project. I told you I was having sex with the artist, which you never should do. Any upcoming producer, songwriter, never have sex with the artist.
Well, it's the same with drug dealing.
Yeah.
Something that none of us know, but like
you fall in love with people, it gets super personal. But I think that it didn't really hurt me, but what hurt me more is that like I wanted money. And like I remember Troy gave me a chain. I think the chain was like, this is when diamond chains first came out, and it was like $50,000 chain. And like he was like, yo, this your present for right now. And he gave me no money. It was like gave me a chain. But like I was a young dude.
Yeah,
so now
you wanted that.
Yes, but now looking back on it,
sleeping at the studio.
No, that sounds like a bad story to tell, but you have to realize that in the midst of time, how much money that they invested into me and how much so it really wasn't all the way bad as it seemed, but it's still fucked up.
So are you recording anything on your own, or are you just writing for other people at the time?
I'm just writing for her, recording my own stuff. I think at that point, I probably got my first placement as a songwriter. I wrote Evolution. I wrote the hook to Eve's Evolution, the title track of her album.
Yeah.
I wrote the hook on it, like my ad libs is on it and all that other shit. And I wrote that. That was my first placement as a writer ever.
So was that
Eve was like, I had seen success with DMX, and then I seen it with Eve, and like what Troy and Jay were able to do with Eve is phenomenal. Like, and what she was able to do as herself, like, it's almost bugged out to me that like how I was in the studio with Lil' Kim last night, and I've never seen Eve, and like, but I mean, she's not even living in the U.S. I think
Yeah,
she's
no,
over
now
there.
she's married to like a
billionaire,
billionaire.
yeah.
God, you won.
So who are you meeting out in LA at that point? Like anybody your age, anybody who you're running around with that's like a close friend at the time?
I had like, I mean, it was a lot of people in that Morgan Smith video. Like every B2K member, Mario, Janae Aiko, Adrian, Byline, all these different people are in this video. So like, it was around that era. Like
Yeah.
I remember.
You were living like a 106 in Park Scream tour.
Yo, listen, the fucking no disrespect to her, like the girl Naturi, like I used to be smashing on her with Tasha from Power, like way back in the day.
Yeah.
Like I used to have like a Crossfire Chrysler. I thought I was doing something, man. I was in a mix.
Yeah. And when do you find yourself as an artist?
Damn. How do I get? So from there, I become Shawnna. Shawnna blows up. So from there, me and Troy fall out.
Okay.
We have our differences. He loses him and Eve stop working.
Yep.
The whole shit crumbles for him.
And
before
nobody
his
hears from
comeback.
Troy Carter ever again.
until he's a billionaire right now. So like fucking, it started there, and like Troy, I watched Troy whole shit crumble in front of me, and I moved. I had to go back home.
Yeah.
So as of going back home, I'm still a rapper. I still have these little accomplishments, but Shawnna becomes getting some head. Shawnna
DTP.
Like, and I become Shawna's hype man.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's got to be incredible, by the way. You're just like, yo, we grew up together, and now like
it came full circle.
it was
She
the
really
biggest
embraced
song
me.
of the moment.
And you're touring everywhere.
Yep. She actually named my album. She used to she told me like, I'm a reflection of them. Like, look what you made me. Like everybody was around me. That was the name of my album as Young Berg. So Shawnna named it, but I became Shawnna hype man. Let's not fast forward.
No, but so you spend time in Atlanta then?
Nah, she was in Chicago.
Strictly Chicago.
She ain't leave Chicago. She was there. And we would just be in the south suburbs and like at her house and just recording. And this is like Red Monkey Jeans. And this is when I became like, this when I became a drug dealer. Like I started selling crack. I started selling like super pounds of weed or whatever. And this is the birth of Young Berg.
In Chicago with Shawnna, you're seeing success from that standpoint.
Not really. What did she give me, like $100? But I was bossed up. Like at that point, like when I came home, I started trapping. So like cause you gotta remember, like me and my mom are not close. She had the bag at that time. Me and my dad were very close, but at the same token, he not really like giving me money like that. So like I had to just go get it, and I started trapping, and Shawnna, I had more money than she was gonna give me at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So like I was hustling. It just was what it was. It was an opportunity that I'm blessed for.
Do you push music to the side then?
Nope. I was still a full-fledged rapper, and I still was Iceberg, and I burn you, and I turned into Young Berg at that point. But it wasn't to the side. It was just more so or less like Shawnna. I'm gonna go run around with Shawnna and see how this works out.
So were you accepted at home?
Yeah, of course.
No, because you left.
You mean like
Oh, my house?
No, I mean like the city, like in
Of
terms of
course,
like
hell.
you left and like you weren't rocking with LEP and their guys anymore. I didn't know if like
That situation fizzled out for them. This is
Lil fizzled out.
Yes.
Yeah, and in this point, they were still trying to get it together. They haven't become Bogus Boys yet. So now Shawnna is, I don't even know what year this is, but Shawnna is the biggest thing in the world. She has a #1 record.
2008 or so. Yeah,
7 maybe?
7?
No,
Yeah.
it's before that.
Right, because
It's like
Oh, no,
5. I
yeah,
came out as Young Berg.
2006,
Yeah,
yeah.
6,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
something like that.
no, because I remember we would go to see Young Sav and
Steve-O.
Steve-O at Def Jam.
and they were working Shawna's
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like 5, 6, yeah.
Did you meet Ludacris? Did you meet
Yeah, but I was the hype man.
Yeah.
It wasn't really not like that. Like,
No one give-
I
yeah.
met Titty
Two-
Boy.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Like, but it wasn't like
I-20, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like
Right.
Did you
For
see
no music.
Ludacris in Crash?
no. I wasn't on the radar like
So,
that.
okay, you're in a life that is sort of split at that time. You got your music on one hand and you're in the streets on the other. Like how do you sort of see those things? Did you see them as separate, or did you see them where it's like that money's going to get me my music career now?
Nah, it was just all music, and I just started. We were trapping, and then that situation with Shawnna fizzled out on her own personal things. You know what I'm saying? Like she started having her problems with DTP, and that stopped happening, and then it just turned into, man, it's time to get it, like by any means necessary. So I started creating, I started working. The same person I was trapping with, who was from Los Angeles, turned into being my manager at that time, and I moved back to LA.
I do want to stay on the drug thing for a second. What do you think that being a drug dealer or being in the streets, or what did that teach you? Did you learn anything from that or no? Or was it just like...
It was just a means to get to it. It wasn't really like I was in it, like I was super committed or nothing like that. It was just like, yo, like, I like this lifestyle. I want to look like this. I want to dress like this. I want to buy this. I want to do that. So, like, it was just a part of coming with the territory.
Yeah, but nobody casually says I'm going to start selling crack.
That was because I was trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody else I knew that was around me was spitting rocks out their mouth, and you know what I'm saying, and doing that shit. So it's like, damn, shorty, you ain't got yours, you know? Like, it's the most disgusting story ever told, because it's like you could have been the kid that was with your parents and your actual family living, but it's kind of like the story that's always told, like how you go against the grain, and, you know, it's just things that just happen for me.
So you go to LA.
Yeah.
And how does your music take hold out there?
Man, I go to LA. Like I said, the guy I was trapping with, he became my manager. He was just a weed guy, and like, that's crazy that your weed guy is like a serious, like, Seth Rogen movie. My weed guy becomes my manager. And like, from him being my manager, he decided that as a weed man and how many connects he had from high-end clientele to chicks, that he was going to decide to be a club promoter. So he became a club promoter in Los Angeles. And he had me living with him. And this is back in the days, like when people had beat CDs and things of that nature. I ended up finding a couple beat CDs and meeting a guy by the name of JFK, which I haven't seen. Damn, I don't even know his name still. It's like 10 years ago. Shout out to him. And Rob Holiday, who actually I didn't know neither one of them. They both from Virginia. Rob is from Woodbridge and JFK was from Richmond, Virginia. And they sent me they beat CDs, and I got them, and I told them to drop out of high school and come move in, and let's start working.
And they did.
Yeah. I guess I had enough juice at that point to be like, yo, I did some shit with Eve or something like that. Like, yo, drop out, man. Come on.
So did they fly out? Did they drive out?
Damn. I think Rob, I'll never forget. I think JFK bought his own ticket and Rob got his own ticket. The minute I met Rob had he was like 100 pounds with like seashells on his neck, like super surfer dude, like, bro, like, weird, like kind of like different guy than what the beats said they meant. And we all moved into a like condo together. So
what are some of the first beats you heard from them that really like had an impact on you?
Damn, it's just probably shit that was on my demo or just like scratch ass songs that we did from the jump. Like, but they had it like, this is back samples, you know what I'm saying? Like things of that nature. It was crazy.
And you guys just recorded and recorded and recorded?
Yeah. Well, actually more so, we didn't have a mic at the condo, so it was more so mainly constructed of just like making beats and like watching them on FL and me learning how like, damn, like this how you make a song. And this is like at the point when I was actually programming shit and doing all this other stuff or whatever, which I don't have the fucking mental capacity to wait and do all that shit no more. But fucking it was just like three guys with a dream. That's what I could compare it to. And that was the birth of it. And damn, it does. Ask me another question leading up to it, because I'm gonna tell you the rest of the story too.
Hey gang, it's Jeff and Eric here. Hitmaka's not here right now. I just want to let you guys in on a little secret. We've got a newsletter going on.
Oh.
You can go to itsthereal.com and sign up for that.
Where?
At itsthereal.com. There's a whole button dedicated to our newsletter.
But Jeff, why would people do that? They could just listen to the podcast.
We'll give you money.
Oh, okay.
We'll give you money if you sign up for the newsletter.
Well, also, by the way, we're going to give exclusives out through that newsletter. So if you want to waste more time than just a waste of time, go to itsthereal.com right now and sign up for that It's The Real email newsletter. It is going to be well worth your time and your efforts.
And you get money.
And Jeff is making promises that we definitely can't keep because we have new rent to pay at our new apartment.
Yeah.
And now back to Hitmaka.
Get that shmoney.
So who starts paying attention to you?
So from there, within me being Shawnna's hype man, I ended up meeting John Monopoly, of course, and I met a young guy by the name of Billy J, who was their assistant at the time for John. And
Shouts to Billy J.
Yeah, shout out to Billy. I was just with Billy last night, and Billy J has the bright idea that he thinks that he can get me a deal off being around John Monopoly and meeting these execs and being up under him. So the guy that I was trapping and selling weed with or whatever, I ended up stealing his credit card and booking Billy J a flight to Los Angeles so he could come meet us.
By the way, it's so funny because I was gonna ask if you were like, if this is the first time you were a good kid, and then it's like, nope.
Yeah, I ended up stealing his credit card and flying Billy J to Los Angeles. And I flew him to Los Angeles and he meets all of us. He meets Rob Holiday, he meets the whole crew or whatever, and we have these records. I'll never forget it. The creation of the beat started. Rob Holiday had got his own condo at the time, like this is spread out, and like we created this beat, "Sexy Lady," my first song at his condo, and from there, the guy that I was trapping with, the nameless guy, who was my manager at the time, he built a makeshift studio in his house. Like he had like a pool house now. Like he was getting his weight up a little bit. So he had a pool house and we made a makeshift studio. And I recorded the song Sexy Lady myself personally. I recorded it, my parts, junior parts. Like I would press record and then run to the mic and do all that shit. And we did a 2-track of the record, and no cap, no loud, nothing. There's no mix or nothing on that record. It's the same one that's 2-track that we did from the jump.
That shit just hit like it hit?
I don't know. It was just something meant to happen. Like the last thing I remember about the completion of that record was us, because it was already, Rob already had the sample is from Diamonds Are Forever. So he already had it in the beat section, but I was like, no, because Kanye had dropped down. I'm like, no, take the intro and start it off, pitch it a different way, and then shit, that was what it was.
Yo. So Billy J promises you that he can get you signed. You flew him out there. He hears that song, and what does he do with it?
He go crazy. So, but he met my manager. They became cool. They started a bond. My manager, of course, found out I stole his credit card to bring him out there. And then it made sense. Everybody was happy or whatever. And we became a family.
Yeah.
And upon him being a promoter, I have this song, Sexy Lady, now that we all love and we think is amazing. So now we go to the club. It was called Area at the time. It was right on Sunset. And
It's
now,
so LA.
we go to the club every night. Shout out to my dog, DJ Echo, who was a DJ out there. And I would literally be like in a chinchilla in LA, like performing from the DJ booth every night. Sexy Lady.
Did you bring the CD with you, like the instrumental?
Yep. But the DJ Echo ended up liking the record too. And him and that manager at the time had a relationship. So he held it down. I don't know what their relationship was, but like he was a promoter. He had all the most popping shit or whatever. And like I was just going to the clubs, beating the clubs down.
Yo, that's such a different time, by the way.
Yeah.
Like where it goes from the club to radio to national radio and everything.
Yes.
Did it go that route?
Yes.
Yeah.
So literally, DJ Echo was also a mix show DJ at Power 106.
Yeah.
So he brings me to a mixer meeting for their company at Power 106 to play my record. I played the record. I think I cried in there. I told him my life story, like how we talking right now, like, yo, this is meant for me. And like, they took it serious. And then you looked up and it was just like, New at 2, Young Berg,
Yo.
Sexy Lady. Then it was like, okay, that's happening, and I'm still going to the club. And then it was like, hey, you're in light rotation. Then it's like, all right, cool. Then you look up 3 months later, and it's the number one song in LA. I don't have a record deal. I don't have nothing. Sexy Lady is the number one song on Power 106.
Yo, was there ever a point, even to that point right there, was there ever a moment, a time period where you thought back on like everything you dealt with and the highs and the lows and thought, I can't believe I bounced back?
I ain't really look at it like that. I think that right now in my career, like after being famous and looking at shit that's going on, I could say I bounced back, but I didn't even look at it like, I just felt like I was just going. You know what I'm saying?
Focused
like,
and driven.
It didn't seem like I took a real L yet.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like I had some peaks and valleys. Man, maybe it should have happened, but I never really looked at it like that, especially at that point when fucking, I just told y'all, I went and pressed 3 in spacebar and ran to the fucking mic and then went back and this song is now becoming the biggest hit in LA. Like it was hands down the biggest hit in LA. Can't nobody say nothing that wasn't.
Who do you meet based off of that? What meetings did you take?
Billy J reached out to Epic Records and was calling for some other A&R that actually was fired. I forget his name, and he ended up talking to a young white woman, shout out to her, Katie Welly, who was the Keith Nafterly's assistant at that point. And Katie, he was like, yo, I'm Billy. I was looking for such and such, but I got these artists, Young Berg. He got the song Sexy Lady. And I guess she was like, I know that song. I've heard it. And they brought us to see Keith Nafterly.
Wow. Wow.
And that's where you sign.
Yep, I met Keith, and like I had my whole thing. I had my whole label. JFK and Rob Holiday were my producers. Junior, who sang "Sexy Lady," was my artist, and we had Junior. I had Junior's album done and all that, and they signed us as a whole collective.
Who was better to their artist, DMX to you or you to Junior?
It depends on what shoes you in. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Did you give Junior a dog?
No, Junior did me dirty. Actually, I was a better boss to Junior than that. So Junior was a part of our crew, and at that point, damn, June, I'm telling these stories, and I don't even talk to Junior. No, I ain't talked to him in years, whatever. But he became to smell himself and think that, you know, because that was such a powerful hook,
Right.
but he was like, they don't really give a fuck about what Berg's saying. I'm really the catalyst of this song. And mind you, we're all young. We're teenagers. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, the fucked up shit. Junior went and signed his own solo deal with Epic Records without me being involved. And I told them
In the same building?
Yep. And I told him I wanted I told him $250,000 for his songs, and they didn't pay me for the songs, and they let him go work with a whole bunch of people and then dropped them.
Well, at least they let him record with everybody else.
This shit is cutthroat, bro. I'm telling you.
But meanwhile, Young Berg has a single that's out there and popping.
Flourishing.
What is it like for you the first time you hear it out, not by you, like, you know, for actually performing it?
It was 0 to 60. It was like, yo, okay, you got a deal. Now you're on a screen tour.
Oh, you actually went on the show
You're back with your guys.
Yeah.
So it was like, it wasn't like, no, this is a different screen tour. This is the Young Jock T-Pain screen tour.
Oh,
like,
shit. Okay.
This is after he evolved and Michael Malden, Jermaine's Pops continued to move on with the brand. So it was 2007.
So from there, you're doing radio runs.
Yeah,
you're doing 106 in Park.
Everywhere.
Was
number
TRL
one
still
on
happening?
I'm number one on both of them.
Yo, how much mileage did that chinchilla coat get?
Yeah, dog, I had to put that motherfucker up at one point, man. For real, because I was in the club every night with that motherfucker. Yeah. But because it was like the attention I would get from the chinchilla, I was wondering, like looking back in hindsight, I thought that people were just like, oh, he's balling. But I was thinking, now I'm like, nigga, it's LA, it's hot as hell. Yo, I'm there looking at me like, why the fuck does this little 4'4" or 5' old guy have a chinchilla on? Like, what the fuck?
Sunglasses, everything?
Yeah, the whole spiel.
When did you meet Ray J for the first time?
Oh, wow.
How many pools did he have?
No, 0.
Indoor and outdoor?
He was Brandy brother at the time, and like he was a legend to me in my eyes, like a legend, because like just his his hit list was crazy. Like I was like, dog, I want to knock down. Like this nigga is knocking down everything. He's a fucking legend. So I actually dropped the EP first before I dropped my album on Epic, and I actually requested him personally to be on the song.
Wow. Without meeting him?
No.
Yeah.
And he came to the studio, and this is back in the day when these were ecstasy days. This is when ecstasy was at its all-time peak. So like, he was on it and shit. Like he came, he did a little verse for me on my EP, and then shit, that we became friends.
Can you talk about the first time you met Shaquille O'Neal?
Oh yeah, at the Sexy Can I video shoot. We were there, and I didn't meet him actually at the shoot. He actually bailed me out of jail. So but it wasn't like I was doing anything wrong. Like, so we're on set. We have police that are like looking out for us, that are basically police, whatever. And me and Ray J were smoking a blunt in a Lamborghini on the first like shot of the day. And I smoked. I throw the roach out of the car, and the police came and picked it up, smelled it, smelled like weed. They locked me up before the first scene of the whole day, and I went to jail. And like I was in like Dade County Jail, Miami or whatever, and then Shaq came and bailed me out. And somehow we finished that video, and that all ended up working out.
Thanks, Shaq.
Yeah, thank you.
Yo, you need to get some cops like DMX had.
Yo, they were really the truth, yo, for real. Everybody need cops like DMX.
Yo, you're out of here.
Yeah,
you're feeling yourself.
Mm-hmm. I'm beyond.
What was that first show in Chicago like as Young Berg?
It was crazy. It was unfucking real. Like, just to see shit come full circle, but it was also like weird because like when I became famous, like my mom became like trying to be in my life again. You know what I'm saying? After she didn't want me to do music, and after I went to that facility or whatever. So it was weird. It was weird times. Chicago wasn't really a good times for me. It was like, cause you know how like people will tell you like, boy, you ain't never gonna be shit. You doing this, you know, and then like everybody like you become a star and everybody sucking your dick. It's ridiculous. Like it's like I almost wanted my mom just to be my mom and not like look at me like Young Berg at that time.
Given your star status at that point, and you're feeling yourself, did you run into more people who liked you or people who weren't fans of you for no reason?
That was cool.
Yeah,
it was a cool time. I mean, as far as like any trials, a lot of things didn't happen like up until then. Like meeting Ray J up until that time was cool, and then I'll never forget. I had this song, The Business, like it was already queued up. It was like, yo, this is gonna be my next single. This is my hit. I was dating the girl that was singing on the song, whatever. Like,
again, my guy.
You gotta follow your
that's
own
why I said
rules.
never do this
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
In my grown life, I'm never doing it.
Berg did it so you guys don't have to do it. You
exactly, yo. So I had this song teed up, and I never forget. Charlie Walk, who was the guy, and he was the Craig Calvin of Epic Records at the time. They called me and was like, there's this sexy can I send me sexy can I?
Yeah.
Hated this shit.
But guess what?
Yo, I'll never forget. Like, I don't know what Charlie must have like smoked a good blunt or something like that, bro. I walked in the office and like it was like he was standing on top of a grand piano, like dancing, like, this is gonna be your next hit. This is gonna be your biggest hit of your whole career. I'm like, I hate this shit. I'm finna be the sexiest motherfucker in America. Sexy lady, sexy can I? Who the fuck am I? Right said Fred. What the fuck? I'm too sexy. Like, what the fuck? Like, what's the name of my album? The Sexiest Nigga Alive? And he like, no, listen to me. This is gonna be the biggest record of your career. And shit, till to the day is the biggest record of mine. It's like 10 million.
Yo, by the way, Sexiest Dude would have been the best title.
Yeah,
as an album title? Yeah.
If every single song had sexy in it.
Yeah.
But you gotta understand.
Would you have done it if Shawnna mentioned it to you?
Hell no, the cloth I'm cut from, I'm from a DMX cloth. So I'm like, yo, it's big. I'm way more.
Right.
I felt like, yo, like they're trying to just make me somebody that it seems like the A&R put together. Let's go get a cute little kid and dress him up and give him
be flashy.
But it's like, I produced and wrote all my songs. A lot of people don't understand that. Even when they think of me now as Hitmaka, like I literally produced and wrote every song on my album.
So back then, did you have control of all your publishing?
Yeah.
You had all your paperwork all set?
I was
yeah.
multi-millionaire. I was good. Everything was lit.
Did you have a lot of jewelry back then?
The biggest jury of them all. And the crazy thing is, damn, like, that's what we was talking about earlier off camera. Like, a lot of people, and I hate to even, like, bring up this shit because everybody, I talk about it, but I don't talk about it rarely. But, like, even what happened with me with that Transformer chain shit when I was, like, a younger guy or whatever, like, that ain't have shit to do with me. I ain't no trick. I don't know none of them people. This shit is so crazy. I had the #1 record in the country, and like the business was #1. And you got to remember at that time, Koch Records was doing radio promo for D and Shadow. Were doing radio for Epic Records. They did me. They did Sean Kingston. They did all these different people. So like they had reached out to me and was like, Trick wants you to host a party or something like that, and like. I was like, nah, because, you know, you hear the stories. And then, like, one of the guys that I was with, one of my closest guys, his cousin was Trick. And he's cousins with Trick.
Yeah.
But they fell out, and it was a problem. And he was around me 24/7. So, I mean, shit, like, I got off the jet in Detroit, and
It's a no-fly zone.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
But, and then, like, so I went, and I had security. I had U.S. Marshals with me. Like, I was off a jet. Like, I was super security up. And we go to, my bro called me, like, come to the club. It wound up being the same club that Trick wanted me to host. And I went inside the club, and I was on a mic, and then I was like, they were like shouting me out crazy. So I went inside the back room where the manager is at, and I'm like, I would like a play on the bottles. Like, I'll pay, but like if we gonna shout me out and I'm gonna do the whole song and dance, like look out a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was like, my partner Trick saying no play for you niggas on the bottles. And I'm like,
Welcome to Detroit.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no. So I'm walking out the club, and no lie, like I'm a grown ass man. That's 10 years later. Like the whole security of the club beat me up in the club. Like nobody touched me. Like people with security on there, the same people that let us in the back of the club. And it's so fucked up when I look back in the hindsight, because we had guns on us and I had armed security, but they was like, you can't bring no security, no pistols in the club. And it was like police out front of the club too. And the guy that I was with, a U.S. Marshal, he was like, man, we 30 deep. We ain't trying to hurt nobody, man. I put the pistol back on the tour bus or whatever. He put it back on there, and the security beat me up. It was a setup. They beat me up there in the club. And they
fucked up.
Yeah, that's how it went.
Was that your first time getting like that beaten up?
It was, nah, I mean, shit, it wasn't really that. It was just more so, it was the devastation of being part of something that really didn't have anything to do with me.
Did you understand? I mean, that's like MySpace days. That's before Twitter. That's before Instagram. It's before like social media like we know it today. Did you understand what the internet had to say about that?
No, it was the beginning.
It didn't reach you.
Yeah, like YouTube was just created at that point. Yeah. I didn't know what the effect of it would be, you know?
Yeah.
Like, per se, yeah.
Your chain, the Transformers chain, got passed around to everywhere. At what point were you just like you didn't care about the first time, but you then started to see it like every other place it went to?
I ain't seen none of that shit. I ain't paying that shit no attention. It was just like over for me, whatever.
Yeah.
You took your lumps.
Yeah.
And you kept going.
Yeah.
How'd that first album do for you?
It did really well for me, and then like I was happy about the success of it, but I started to realize the music business even more, because I'm a successful artist. I'm selling millions of singles, and this is back when albums really didn't matter. Like if you push like 10 million ringtones or something like that, nigga, it didn't even matter if you had no platinum album. But it was kind of like I got to see like the building started to manipulate me from Billy. Like I had my whole crew who was my managers, who I started with, and they started to just like gesture me with grass being greener on the other side, and I fell for it.
Which meant what?
Which meant I fired Billy, I fired everybody I came up with, and I hired John Shipes and Jim McDaniels, and I became my manager.
And what did that do for your career?
Nothing. It was the worst decision I ever made. Not because they're bad people, but at the same token, you always want to stick close to the people that really care about you. I was just another client on their list. They weren't from the bottom with me. Like they didn't develop this dream with me. It was just like, oh, we got Sean Kingston, and now we got Young Berg, and they was pretty much housing the Epic Records urban. You know what I'm saying? This before Epic even had an urban. It was just us and Pocket Full of Sunshine or whoever these. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's that other girl? God, it was one other girl that was just like a random white girl act that was on the record. You know, that was on
Natalie.
Natalie. So like it wasn't. It was just. It was very fresh.
Yeah. So they're not really advocating for you. And what can you do for yourself at that point?
I worked, and then I put out the business. The business came, and then that did really well for me. It was like my most famous joint for people that they love the most. And that went. And after that, it was kind of like Charlie's like, "Yo, come to the office. I need to see you." And I'm like, okay, this record's done really well. Sexy Can I's done really well. And Charlie sits me down in Epic Records in his office, and he says, I'm leaving the company. Some things are changing. But I know that you're going to be right and you're going to be fine because you know melody. And I'm like, what the fuck is you talking about? It just is what it is.
Was Melody the white girl that was signed?
No. And he was like, it is what it is. And they dropped me. And I'm not really dropped. Like, you know how one regime goes? They let me go.
Yeah. It's like a college coach, like going to another school and you're just like sorry, you signed up here.
And so what's going through your head right now?
Man, I'm still rich. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
But you don't have anything like...
I got cloud. I'm still me. Like I dive into mixtapes and I'm just like getting high, like doing ecstasy with all my guys and
ecstasy
girls.
was very big.
In a mansion, just making mixtapes and spending excess of $40,000, like overhead of $40,000 to $45,000 a month.
With your same set of producers or no?
Mm-hmm. JFK had left at that point and Rob Holiday stayed with me. It wasn't until we went to New York when Rob Holiday really left me. He met Puff Daddy and Puff stole him away from me. And
did you think that like mixtapes were the way to go? Like, did you know the whole circuit? Did you know what the internet meant at that point?
Yeah, I would think we were the first ones. It was shout out to Ill Will and DJ Rockstar who started Hot New Hip Hop or whatever that was at the time. And they were doing mixtapes for everybody.
And what was the demand for you out on like the tour circuit?
It was still great. I was still getting money and I was still doing me. And who the artist known as Kid Ink right now, who was Rockstar to me, became a producer of me. And like that's how he met Ill Will, and that's how they formed that whole thing, just from us making mixtapes.
So did you think that there was another label situation on the horizon at that point?
I didn't know. Like I was just working, just tunnel vision, trying to make it happen and like understand exactly how I could land on my feet and still be like really like focused on what's going on and delve into real life and deal with all these different issues about having overhead and spending money and like where does it go from there?
Yeah. So, and we've talked to a whole bunch of people who have been let go. Mm-hmm. Mike Posner, we talked Asher Roth, Mano, different people who have like been through the ringer. Mm-hmm. Who was around you during that time that you could really count on that like meant something to you?
Nobody. Ain't nobody around you when you got money and you like tweaked out like and having a good time 24/7. It's just a nonstop party. Like,
so who's behind a wake up call?
Damn, I think finally I decided there was a guy by the name of Bryant McKinnie who was an NFL player who played for the Vikings, and he was starting his own record label at the time, and he decided like he found out that I was like writing records and whatever, and like heard some of my stuff and thought it was dope, and told me I'll come move you to Miami and pay for your whole living setup if you just work with my artist that I'm trying to develop on a new situation. So I looked at it like, damn, I'm spending all this money. This is a way for me to not stop spending and maybe catch a fresh start. And then at that point, I moved to Miami.
Which is where Wikipedia picks up. That's why you're from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I moved to Miami.
And what's that like down there?
How was the ecstasy?
Yeah. No more.
So you got cleaned up.
It wasn't really like a clean up bad thing. You got to understand, like, this is just something we were just doing just to be creative. It wasn't really like a super, like, somebody got to go to rehab type of thing. It was just like fun. Like I was my output on that shit, like I was making like 25 songs a night. Like I was never going to sleep.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah.
So when
Grinding
you're
your
working,
teeth.
when you're working like that, at that point you don't look at it as a vice because it's like I'm doing this shit. Like,
So who's down? What year is this? Like who's down in Miami at this point?
At that point,
Scott Storch.
he was in that era. He was dialing out though at that point. But like I really was just involved in everything that dealt with B-Mac in them situation, B Major. It was just me, a lady by the name of Guyana, and Freddie P, who was on Making a Band, was one of his artists.
Whoa.
Pleasure P was his artist.
Anybody with P, yeah.
And then Jordan Hollywood, who's now signed to QC, he was also his artist. That's where I met him at.
Wow. And did you turn out stuff that you liked?
We did good. We did good work, and that's what really molded me into a producer and writer, because like I was able to work with all these different people, and from there, I went to the studio one day with Jordan Hollywood, and I made this record, and it's called Double Cup. It turned into being DJ Infamous song Double Cup with featuring myself, Young Jeezy, who else on there? Ludacris and Juicy J.
Wow.
And that was the first time I ever said Hitmaka on anything.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know. Just high.
You made hits?
Yeah. I was like, yo, I don't know. It just, like literally, like I wish that it was a story for me to be like, yo, like I was reading and it's so dope because something happened and this happened and I turned into Hitmaka. Like I said it once and then I was like, wait, I should keep saying that.
Well, did you feel like there had to be a separation between Young Berg and whoever this new producer inside you was?
Yeah. I felt like because the music I was making was still good, it was just that it was such a persona and a stigma with that name, and so much had happened. And it's not really, it was my fault, of course, but being me. But at the same token, this was the beginning of internet craze. So like I was like some of the first L's taken publicly, you know what I'm saying? And that left a taste in people's mouth, like it's something to go with it. So I had to like regroup.
Well, what do you think like really like put that taste in people's mouth?
I just think that when you realize, like when you see somebody, okay, right now I could compare it to this. You see the shit that Soulja Boy is doing right now. We're never gonna forget that. You always gonna say Tiger. It don't matter if something else happened right there. So whether it be me with that chain incident or whatever, it's like it's gonna live on forever because of now how viral shit is. And I was the first shit that was really popping off like that, where people were getting clout for doing, like, that's when the times really were changing. Like, because it wasn't really about that. At that point, it was like, if I shoot you, I'm gonna rob you, I ain't gonna tell you about it. Then the internet came on. It was like, ha, look at me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that became, the clout chasing began at that point.
Yeah, you were the first person I saw on, like, World Star that, like...
Then was the like, first moment. Like, World Star just got popping.
Yeah. Actually... you know how we started off with our AKAs? Mm-hmm. That's from a video
that someone from your team, after your chain got stolen, went on a MySpace video player and was like, yo, what up? It's whatever the person's name is, AKA this, AKA that. And you can find me at www. They never said the 3 W's. It's www.myspace.com/whatever. And we were like, well, we need to do a video just like that for Jeff getting his chain snatched here on the Upper West Side.
God bless y'all.
And the video
God bless y'all.
Video did very well.
You flourish.
And here we are.
Thank you.
10 years later.
Exactly.
Well,
that's why we brought you up here to get the to get the cosign.
In that period where you're starting to produce and you are Hitmaka, at least to yourself, who do you give your beats to, or is it just to the camp?
So, I don't make beats. Like, that's what a lot of people think, that I make beats. I don't make beats.
You sound like one of those rappers who says I'm not a rapper.
No, I don't no. It's more so like,
oh, God makes them and gifts them to you.
He's the Hitmaka.
You're like Puff.
I'm the Puff Daddy of our generation, but
so you steal Rob Holiday.
No, I actually write the songs. I actually do it though, but at the same token, it's like my gift, I think that's incredible, is that I just know how to make a hit. So if I can take your record, rearrange your beat. If you send me a beat and I rearrange it, throw this, do that, swing this, send me, you know what I'm saying? Different mutes and automations and all the other shit. And then I write the top line around it and I make it a hit record. I write it, I place it, I get the artist on it, I mix it or whatever. Like I'm just as involved as you as a record, period. So
I just figured out where you got the name from.
What?
You make hits.
So yeah, like I began, I don't know, like I started to take myself serious, and then I worked with a girl in Miami named Mia Ray, who was like my next casher, who sang The Business or whatever, and like we made a whole project together, and that really like helped me think about like, damn, I'm about to be something great. Like I know how to make, and like the greatest gift is when people believe in you. Like when somebody believes in you to like gives their whole all to you, like I don't care what you write me, just as long as I sing it, like whatever. So that allowed me to believe in myself even more. I moved to Atlanta and I'm miserable. This is after the Bryant McKinnie thing folds and everything.
What makes Atlanta miserable?
I'm just not clicky. I hate clubbing. I don't go to clubs. I don't do anything of that nature. So I started working, I just was writing records. Now this is like when I be in the studio with like me, Metro, like this is Metro, what's Future, Karate Chop, like around that era, like when that first dropped or whatever, and Metro starting to get a little wave, and like we all around each other, and I'm still Young Berg, like people knew me, and like we had little vibes or whatever, and I ended up writing this record at Mike Caren's studio with Shasha Jones called The One, and I'm like, yo, this is gonna be great. And it ended up being Tamar Braxton's record.
Wow.
And that's how I got my next publishing deal with Mike Caren, and my life started to evolve from there.
Did you make sure to charge Epic out the ass for that one?
I think I did.
Yeah.
For me at the time, like my first placement, I'm like, oh, I want 20,000. They gave me 20 grand. I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Obviously, it feels great to get that Tamar record off. How do you follow it up?
I moved to LA again, and at that point, like I was close with Vincent Herbert, and like I thought he was gonna be the next Troy Carter to my life and change my life. Cause Vince at that point, when Tamar first thing was happening, like he was like, I forget, he was the head of like Interscope at the time or something like that. I'm like, yo, he's about to change my fucking life. So I moved back to LA.
Did you know that Vince and Troy would later become business partners?
This is around that time. This is around the time. Like they were already in a mix. So it was weird because that didn't pan out, and then shit, I was just like back like living in LA, like having to figure it out. Like, yo, what's up?
Are you miserable out in LA?
I'm signed to Mike Caren. I'm going to APG Studios, and I'm rewriting songs 27 times, and none of them are being placed, and I'm learning.
Yeah.
I was definitely miserable still. I wasn't like LA and Atlanta is two different vibes.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as Atlanta, but it was just like, all right, I got a couple of dollars. I think Mike Caren gave me like $30,000 for my first publishing deal.
Wow.
And like, that was the beginning.
What was something that made you happy when you were in LA though?
Studio, being able to go and work at Mike's spot, you know what I'm saying, and having an opportunity, and then having a manager and have people believe in me. Tiffany J became my manager at the time, and
no relation to Billy,
no relation to Billy, and just having someone believe in me and thinking that things were possible, and I just started working for them.
Who are some of the early placements that you got that really like meant something, whether they were like big placements or not?
Probably like 2 Chainz and Kevin Gates. I feel like probably K Michelle stuff, and those were like the humble beginnings of just like, all right, this shit is starting to turn into something. Like maybe I do got it. Maybe I can control the room, because a lot of people, like I've seen some of the best producers now in my life as an A&R or whatever, they can't hold the room. They don't know what to say, when to say it. They don't know how to carry themselves. I've seen somebody with a #1 record just be like coy, quiet, not be able to be in an interview with you guys, not be able to deal with y'all shit, how you talking about the chain, and all this other shit, man, not be able to deal with it and like be able to navigate through it. So it's like,
meanwhile, you're that guy who went to Power 106 for that mixer and captivated the whole room. So it's within you.
Exactly.
So now you as a producer can go and take a room down and just...
Yeah, and then from there, I think I did King Louie featuring Juicy J and Pusha T. My hoes, they do drugs.
Yes.
And like,
No. So that's when we first heard of you coming on the scene again,
Okay,
and
man.
we're like, no,
Yeah.
like Berg.
That's
is
me
producing
doing
now.
That's me doing the hook on the whole song and all that. That's in Screw. That's me doing the whole thing.
That song is still so good.
It's
Still got it on
good.
my iTunes. They'll never take it away from me. It's a great song. And by the way, we did a top 10 list whenever that was. And that was one of my favorite records. It might have been yours too.
15, 14?
Something.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Best songs of the year.
Yeah.
Did it mean something for you that was a Chicago artist? Or not?
I heard him before,
Also,
but
by
I
the
was trying
way,
to get a vibe.
another Epic artist.
Yeah, I was just trying to. And that's why I was like, "Holy shit, I'm back working for Epic again." Oh my god, I was just trying to get a vibe off and like people to understand me. Like you got to understand, every record that you this is a fact. 99.9% of the time, every record you ever heard me do is an idea that me and my team come up with collectively, and then we give it to people. So like, if you think of a Big Sean bounce back or something like that's something that me and Jeremih came up with, and I rented this big crazy house with no furniture and like was trying to hype myself up while I was still dealing with Mike and like trying to pay the rent and do all this other stuff, whatever. And like we came up with that song, and I thought it was trash. It was the last song of the night. Like, man, that's some bullshit. And then come out. It changed me and Smash David life at one time.
How does Ty Dolla $ign come into your life?
Damn. Tiffany J used to manage Ty Dolla $ign. This one she managed me too. And she used to tell me like, he doesn't like that I work with you. Because like Ty, this is like tooted and booted Ty. This is like chubby Ty before he got in shape and all that other shit. So I start working for Atlantic Records and I become the guy. And shit, Ty pulls up on me and probably make 10 songs that night, and we've been brothers ever since. And we've never talked about any type of, you know what I'm saying, what we saying with Tiffany. We might have glanced over really briefly, but I was just like, man, like, I just was active. I started working.
What are some songs that like you envisioned for an artist and they just didn't take it? You're like, no, this is really gonna take you over the top.
None, because I make hits. Everyone not giving us a fucking hit.
So you never had a record for someone and it's just like, all right, cool, I'll give it to that person instead?
I don't even feel like that. I feel like, man, these my babies. They gonna find their way home. You know what I'm saying? They gonna find a home at the end of the day, regardless. It depends on just whatever it is.
So Ty Dolla $ign meant a lot to you. Who are some of the other artists that like you can count on whenever you're in the studio session together?
Jeremih changed my life, like hands down. This is like around the time when I was on Love and Hip Hop and like Wild Out, before, like, because at that time, damn, I did like 7 songs on Nicki Minaj Pink Print, and like I was working heavily with Nicki, and I was able to meet Jeremih in that process, and he took me on tour with him. And this is like, don't tell him, Jeremih scorching hot, and nobody would really be around me like that. Nobody would really fuck with me. Like Nicki and him were the first people to really bring me in and bring me close, and I was able to make hit records with them, and like they really changed my life. Just working with them too at that time made people look at me differently.
When you gave Nicki 7 records, did you give them all at once, or was that a process?
I went to Mike Caren's studio and I did a record that and I named it Nicki and Hitmaka, and I'm like, yo, I'm finna give Nicki Minaj a record. Now randomly I go to the studio, Glenwood Studio in Burbank, to see my friend Sounds, who's also a producer, who's done great things, and he's working with Esther Dean and her artist. She had an artist, Jasmine, I don't know what her name is. She was working with a younger female singer, and my friend who was with me at the time, my brother Doc, was like, I think that's Nicki Minaj over there in the other room. Whatever. And I was like, oh shit. And I just made this song, Nicki and Hitmaka, like the night before. And I told my friend, like, yo, go tell her I got some records for her. And I guess he went over there like, yo, Berg said he got some records. And he told it to the security. And he came back and told me, like, Nicki security said give her 15 minutes. She gonna let you in, come play some shit. I went, I played the Nicki and Hitmaka song. I played more songs. And the funny shit, she was like, I ain't even gonna lie, I've been fucking with you ever since this. And she played The Business. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, but now looking back on it, like,
You're like, get Charlie Walker on the phone, motherfucker. Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, it's like, I was on fire and Nicki Minaj wasn't even a star.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So she probably was watching me on 106 in Park and seeing it and really did like the record. And from that day, I started working and me and her became the best of friends. And I never left the studio.
Crazy. How's it feel to have your relationship with Kaiser all these years later, now that you're at Atlantic?
Yo, I was just with Kaz earlier and it's amazing because he understands the cloth or the that we were cut from that same DMX and era that I was saying about, and I think that it's just come full circle. Now I'm a boss. Now they made me a boss and that shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's just amazing what Atlantic Records does in general because they allow you to be yourself. They allow you to be creative, and they really they care. You know, so. I really love Kaz, man. He's a good guy, man.
Yeah.
Have you played Monopoly with?
I'm not doing none of that shit. No. I see Kaiser at Prime 112 in South Beach.
Yeah.
Hot, what's up, bro? Good. Hey, cool. See you later.
You're not going over to Joe Budden's for Monopoly night with Kai's and Irv and Angie and everybody. Yeah.
Yo, I'm old. I'm not that old yet. I'm trying
to
stay in
club.
my lane.
It's not the club.
Yeah, I'm staying in my own lane.
You know that Joe's a cheater when it comes to Monopoly.
Yo, Joe is a cheater and everything. Man. He's hilarious, yo.
So, what got you through those dark years, knowing within yourself that you could be bigger than Young Berg ever was, knowing that you had more inside your tank and that maybe people didn't see it, but you did?
Everything that I want any upcoming person to that really strives and really believes this shit, not the girl that think they watch Cardi B and now there's 18 rappers, there's the chicks and starlets that's sending me a demo or like a voice note or something in my DM. It's kind of like, yo, like I had no choice. It was this or nothing. So when you really like dedicate yourself and put yourself to that, it's this or nothing.
Have you run into Charlie Walk, DMX,
Of course.
Jay Irving, Troy Carter?
Yeah, I do business with Jay Irving right now. Troy Carter, I still look at him like a mentor. Charlie Walk, I spoke with him like probably a few months ago, last year or whatever, and they all know I'm Hitmaka.
Who is the one person who came up to you and was shocked that Young Berg was Hitmaka?
Besides us.
I don't know. Probably not in person, but you know, if I search Twitter right now, they're gonna be like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Young Berg is Hitmaka?" Like, what the fuck? And like, yeah, it's me.
I just looked on your discography because I was like, I don't want to miss anything. Like, I didn't realize you were part of John by Lil Wayne.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was one of my first placements. I actually discovered Ayo, the producer, and found him. He's a great guy. He does a lot of things with me now. He's done a lot of things on his own. They have their own thing going. He actually Grammy nominated. Shout out to them right now. They did the Big and Hair record on Cardi B's album. So
no big deal.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
So I was like one of the first people of this too, like no Soulja Boy, but like I used to throw out my email on Twitter and just like send me beats. Anybody that, you know what I'm saying? So with the little bit of clout that I had at Young Berg, I was able to meet Ayo, the producer, via email. And I signed him. And he was my producer signing me. And that's one of the many things we did in that moment.
Yo, that John record's hard.
Yo, that shit is still hard right now to this day.
What do you think your greatest ability is as a producer?
Just to be a gift to other people. Like, because when you have a producer, a real producer, you have to be selfless. You have to be all about the music, but you also have to be all about the people that you're creating with. So to me, it's more so being able to be a gift to others. Like, I can invite 3 different people to just come in a room with me, and maybe if we lucky, we might catch a number 1, or if we not lucky, top 10 at least. You know what I'm saying? So, and that creates other revenue and other doors to open for other people. So as a producer, you just have to be selfless, I feel like, and just give yourself to the artist, because I dance on both sides of the fence because I've been an artist. And then I know what it's like to want to work with a good producer as an artist, but now I'm a producer, and it's like, I know what it's like to want to have a different perspective from an artist level as well. So it's kind of, it's interesting, but at the same token, it's just about being able to step back and just do what's best for the record.
And so when you bring in those 3 people, that's Natalie.
No.
That's Melody.
No.
And that's Naturi. No.
No. Right now, it's more so like Smash David, OG Parker, Rob Holiday. Still, I've resurrected Rob from the dead again. Raquel, Goldie, Drew Love from They, Chris Sean, who's my number one guy. Shout out to PC, who's wrote everything in the world. Me for it's like I got my own team.
Are you better in a team, or do you think that you're better like sometimes on your own?
I'm best at a team right now. On my own, when I had to do everything on my own, I was amazing at doing it. But now it's like, do it alone for what? It's enough room for everybody to eat and for all of us to have a good time.
Who are some of the young kids that you're excited for at Atlantic?
Oh, man. All the YBNs, Bri Steves.
We're getting Corday up here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Yeah. Who else is amazing? I really love IBJ. I just heard her stuff. Lon Ray just played me some other stuff. Everybody I'm working with all of them, so I don't want to overlook nobody, and I say no words. I'm sorry, all of them.
and this was news, but not news to us. You got an album coming.
Yeah.
And what does that album look like? What does it feel like?
How many Ed Sheeran songs are there?
80. Nah, this shit is hard. I never imagined that I was gonna do an album again. Like, I didn't think that it was possible, but once I became who I am right now, I guess it's possible. So everybody's on it. Just know.
Yeah.
Everybody's on my album. And it's not a DJ Khaled, like it is a DJ Khaled-ish producer album. I'm probably gonna get an 8 or 12 off though.
Yeah.
Cause I redid the bit. I did my own 10-year challenge. I redid the business and flipped it like how I flip everybody else's records. I flipped my own record, and so I'm doing my own 10-year challenge on my own self.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Do you still have a chip on your shoulder?
No, hell no. I work with people that dissed me when I was Young Berg. Like Gucci Mane had mad like Young Berg diss-lit records, and I did Tone It Down with him and Chris Brown, and we're cool as
Wait,
man.
why did he diss you?
Oh my God, I don't know. It was that era. It was the old Gucci. I can't speak for the old Gucci.
Well, so what? Like, how do you open yourself up to working with people like that?
You just have to. It's business. Shit is business.
Nothing's personal.
Nope.
Do you hold any grudges about anybody?
Nah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's the only way to really live for real. Because if you walk around holding grudges, that could hold you back from getting your own good experience off. So I don't ever want to like close doors that can ultimately open money for me at the end of the day, you know?
But you still speak your truth.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously listen to you on this podcast.
Yeah,
like
I don't care, bro.
Right.
I'm me. Like a lot of people in this podcast have been like, "What you talking about that shit?" I would have screamed the podcast before I even came. Or my manager said, "Yo, you could talk about." I don't give a fuck. I'm an open book, bro.
Okay, so then, if we're being completely honest,
oh shit, you are that guy, bro. Yo.
Why did you not escape the room?
Whose
fault was it? Was it Joe's?
I told you I was with Natalie. I was trying to get some box, and it wasn't working. I was distracted. I was trying to fucking court a woman, and it didn't work out for me. You ever get played by a chick when you really think you got money? Like, it was happening to me at the time. She felt like a man.
Oh my God! Listen, we told you this off mic. We'll tell you on mic too. No one had a year like you had in 2018. No one has. That's 2019 though. No one has created a lane for themselves like you. Congratulations on your whole career, your whole journey, not just the Hitmaka stuff, but getting to this point, because none of this happened without that first stuff. So congratulations for making it to this point. I'm glad we linked up, and thanks for coming through.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks everyone for listening to this new episode of A Waste Time with It's The Real. Jeff, people want to find out more about us. I'm Eric, you're Jeff. Together, we have a new apartment. Jeff, if people want to find out more about this podcast, it's called A Waste of Time with It's The Real. If people want to find out more about what's going on with us, we are It's The Real. Where can they go?
You can always go to itsthereal.com, itsthereal.com. No apostrophes, no spaces, new apartment, new newsletter. Everything is happening at itsthereal.com. Make sure to sign up for that newsletter. There is a dedicated button. A lot of people have been wondering, how do I sign up for the newsletter? Just go to the website. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter and DM us over there. Let us know that you want to be on the newsletter. We'll put you on. Very easy process. You can always find all of our old episodes and our new ones. If you search for A Waste of Time with It's The Real, or search for just It's The Real, because A Waste of Time with It's The Real is a pretty long name. You can just go to iTunes, search on Spotify, search on SoundCloud, search on CastBox.
Jeff, where are we on social media?
Social media, we are at number 1. We are on Twitter at It's The Real, Facebook at It's The Real, and Instagram at It's The Real.
This is one of our favorite parts of the podcast, where we send out words, say who wants to be shouted out, and we have a whole bunch of names, a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of fans who are very excited to hear their names. So Jeff, who are we shouting out?
Well, here's the thing. A bunch of these people I meant to shout out last week.
So does this
and
still
I
count?
promised them that I would.
All right.
And I fucked up.
Do we get points taken away? How does this work?
No, like, you know, be happy I'm just saying your name or whatever. All right, so these are all people who signed up because they rated and they subscribed to Two Jews and Two Black Dudes, our movie podcast with the Locks. They did that on iTunes. So here we go. There is Debo1_.
Big shout out to Debo,
who's been so vocal in his support for us. I also want to shout out Gerald Simmons 311.
Shout out to Gerald,
who sent video proof of him subscribing to our podcast.
It's big.
I want to shout out Jay Cleans from London.
Shout out to everyone out there in London, but especially Jay Cleans.
Jay Cleans. I also want to shout out Shan22 from Sydney, Australia.
Whoa, shout out to Shan out there and across the world.
Yeah, and she's been amazing. Shout out to Shan. I also want to shout out AG1NY Alexander.
Shout out to Alexander.
World Traveler Alexander. I also want to shout out Corey Lavelle, Big Providence, Rhode Island.
Big shout out to Corey.
April's boy. I want to shout out the Prince Hakeem.
Oh, shout out to Prince Hakeem
from San Francisco, who also said we had to shout out his son, Tariq, aka the Curl God Jr. He said that people should listen to The Last Dragon review by Two Jews and Two Black Dudes on iTunes. He said you'll probably get mad at a couple people.
Which people? I don't know. You guys listen and tell us.
Yeah. I also want to shout out Daniel Tutopoli.
Yes, big shout out to Daniel.
From Sacramento. Marcus Strankowski from Akron.
Yeah, shout out to Marcus.
Who we got breakfast or lunch with.
One of the two. Maybe it was brunch, actually.
Yeah. East Not West.
All right, shout out to East Not West.
And the Clocked In Podcast. I also want to shout out Santos Cinemas.
Big shout out to Santos Cinemas.
That is the Desayuno Papi. I also want to shout out Brady Morningstar, all the Morningstars actually, and the Glens.
All the Morningstars, all the Glens.
Mimi Domingo, who signed up for our newsletter twice from the Philippines.
Yo, shout out to Mimi, and we appreciate the fact that she spends her work days listening to A Waste of Time with It's The Real.
Here's the thing about a couple of these names.
Yeah.
They signed up through the website. I don't know anything about them. Okay. So all I know is I have to pronounce their names correctly. So Jeremih Somers, Felipe Morgado, and Eric Laudeman. I also want to shout out Beatmaker.
Shout out to Beatmaker.
Lauren, down there in, I want to say Florida?
Yes, sir.
Who says to shout him out, and the one and only Chris Ox. Keep your head up. I hope that Chris Ox hasn't done anything bad that I would get in trouble for shouting him out for.
Right, no, but shout out to Chris Ox, shout out to Beatmaker, and shout out to Hitmaka.
And also, shout out to Mr. Break It Down.
Oh, big shout out to Mr. Break It Down. We
Please, Mr. Break It Down is my father's name.
We appreciate you rocking with us. Anything else, Jeff?
No.
All right, well, you know what time it is. As always, guys, not for real, for real.
Game time, huh?
We'll see you guys next week.